Diversity with Delilah. Ay, let's go. Let's get it. And this week, she is talking about, and this is somebody I learned about when I was a little kid reading football encyclopedia books. Yep. Little Sean was a big old nerd. I had huge football encyclopedia books dating back to the 1900s and everything, and the 1800s, things like that. So Fritz Pollard, I am so excited that you're bringing him up for Diversity with Delilah. So without further ado, Delilah, what you got?
Yeah, of course. So interesting thing is that he actually is born and raised in Chicago. So he is a Chicago native. He went to Lane Tech High School, which, that's kind of, awesome for me because I didn't live too far from that school. So, but anyway, at Lane Tech High School, he played football, baseball, and ran track. From Lane Tech, because Lane Tech has always been one of those top achieving schools, he got into Brown University. Not a surprise because, again, Lane Tech is one of our high schools, one of the top high schools in the city.
Yeah, one of the public high schools.
And it always has been. And so he got into Brown University, majoring in chemistry. He played halfback on that football team, went on to the 1916 Rose Bowl. He was the first Black football player at Brown. He also became one of the first Black running backs at Brown to be named Walter Camp's All-American team. So he did have a few other accolades as actual players. After serving in World War I, he joined the Akron Pros of the American Football League, which was before the NFL, and that became the NFL a little later, which he was still playing. At the time when it shifted from the American Professional Football Association to the NFL, he was one of only 2 Black players in the new league. Mm-hmm. Fans taunted him. Obviously, we've heard that before as we talk about a lot of the diverse players on here, right? Hurled racial slurs at him. And basically what he was quoted saying, I didn't get mad at them. I wanted to fight them. I would just look at them and grin, and in the next minute, run for an 80-yard touchdown, right? So he took that anger, right? That's what I like about sports. I like about sports is that you can channel that and just use it to... Yeah, so one of my favorite parts about sports is that you could channel that negativity and turn it into something positive and use it to, shut people up. In 1921, he earned another distinction at becoming the first African-American head coach in the NFL history when he was named the pros co-coach of the team. So that's kind of where that started. So that's how he became the first Black coach of the NFL. Basically, also as he played football, they're saying he was actually really elusive. He was really fantastic. During his pro football career, he had a 2-time All-American. He played 2-time All-American, coached 4 different NFL teams, the Milwaukee Badgers, the Hammond Pros, right? These are all teams that really we kind of forgot about it because these are like the real kind of the chunk kind of when the NFL kind of started. So he played for he coached for a lot of these different teams. Fritz also spent time in 1923 and 1924 playing. So he wasn't just coaching, he was also playing at the same time. In 1928, he organized and coached an all-Black football team based out of Chicago called the Chicago Black Hawks. They were called the Chicago Black Hawks, like separated. And so that was something really cool that I appreciated is learning about that. Pollard's Black Hawks played against white teams around Chicago, and they enjoyed success because he scheduled a lot of exhibition games against teams on the West Coast from 1929 until 1932 with his all-Black football team. But then the Great Depression happened, unfortunately, and so the team was disbanded and unfortunately couldn't keep it up. But yeah, so he wasn't just the first Black NFL coach, but he was a lot of firsts, right? One of 2 Black players in the new NFL, and so also a Chicago native. So kind of cool to learn about people that kind of heard about, but didn't even know he was from Chicago. So Fritz Pollard, nice. Thanks for kind of getting in there, right? Because, someone has to knock down the door, right?
That's right.
Exactly. Exactly. I remember reading this. Like I said, I was a young kid with the encyclopedia books and all that stuff. But I remember
his father was a famous boxer also at the time.
Oh wow!
Okay.
Fritz Pollard Sr. So
okay.
I love that, and that was definitely, and because it was before what we know as segregation and Jim Crow. I mean,
right,
it was still going on and everything, but he was able to do a lot of that stuff and was known as one of the pioneers for the modern game. Like he was one of those guys. So I absolutely love that. Delilah, Wendy has a question. Who invented football back in the early days in 1923? I don't know. Who is it, Wendy?
I'm guessing Wendy has the answer, or she might not have asked that question. Yeah. Wendy, are you trying to say Wendy, who's one of the oldest franchises in the NFL? What are you trying to say?
Yeah, come on now. We'll get that.
If I'm not mistaken, though, Wendy, the Bears celebrated 100 years 2 years ago or a year ago, which would have made that 1920, honey. So wouldn't football? I'm just asking. I'm not trying to criticize, but wouldn't football have been invented before that?
Because it was the Chicago, wasn't the Chicago like Cardinals or something?
Staley's, the Chicago Decatur, Chicago Staley's. Right.
The Green Bay Packers, were they the first team? Were they one of the first?
Well, they're one of the. They might be the first actual NFL team, right? And the Bears are right behind them.
Oh,
because that's the longest rivalry in football.
The first NFL team.
Well, that's why I knew Wendy knew the answer because that's why she asked the question.
It was also always
she knew the answer.
Like we just learned from Fritz Pollard.
Right.
There were always professional football team, but not what we see today as the NFL. And if you guys remember, there were actually two rival football teams, even going into the 80s, that then kind of became one team. So you guys remember that.
George Halas, who owned the Bears and it was the coach player, was one of the initial people who started the NFL. So
yes, he was.
Not just your Green Bay Packers there, Wendy. Nice way to slip that in, though. Very good.
Don't forget that that Halas and Lombardi actually respected each other and had
They had a great relationship with each other.
They actually got along and had a fantastic. They really wanted to build this, and they kind of built that out together. So let's not forget.
That's when men were men, buddy. And let me tell you,
let's forget where
we shook on it. We shook on it, and that was my deal, baby.
They spit in the hand.
Yes.
Shook on it,
and what about your business, baby?
Yeah, they were like, let's get this. Yeah, they were like, let's get this done.
There were no contracts. There were handshake deals, and you upheld your end of the bargain, baby.
Right.
That's what I'm telling you.
Wendy, happy birthday. We let you come on the show, and we let you have your little
Packers moment. Right. We love you, Wendy.
Absolutely.
Thank you for watching.
I love it.
Thank you, Delilah. Hey, wait, what about
Thank you, Delilah.
Because I taught her about not just that, but like I just brought it up, the first black coach,
I told you Wendy don't like me. Wendy's been hating on me since I made that comment about Green Bay like 10 weeks ago. Right. Like, she was mad about it. Wendy's still mad. She don't love me. No love for Nick, huh?
Stay tuned, Wendy. Like we had mentioned before, and thank you very much, Delilah. That was another installment.
Another great addition of the diversity. We love that, right?
Love it. But like we alluded to earlier, the NFL schedule is out, ladies and gentlemen.
No, schedule's out.
And we waited till Wednesday night. That's why we ended up doing Watch the Football